Welcome to Real Talk with Marcus Shu.
Here, we break down new launches, market trends, and real client case studies to answer one simple question. What's the smartest property decision for you? Because buying property isn't just about chasing the hottest project. It's about making the right move for your future. Let's get into it. Alright, let's get the elephant out of the room first. So why did Sora not perform as well as other projects during the last 2 years? So definitely the number one key reason that most buyers have in terms of objection for this project is actually the distance to the MRT. So if you really want to walk, it's probably going to be more than a 15 minutes walk. It's definitely not really walkable, especially in Singapore's climate. It is so hot, so humid. Sora launched almost 2 years ago in 2024. During the preview period, we had more than 3,000 visitors. As of today, there's still more than 200 units left over, slightly more than half. So many people will look at this and assume it is a red flag. However, having sat down to look through the numbers, data, and upcoming transformation I know in the area, I actually think that that assumption might be wrong. So if you are someone looking to buy something in the West and looking for something with great potential for capital appreciation, you might not want to skip this video. I am Marcus Shu and I help take away guesswork and rely fully on data for my buyers to make an informed decision. Let's get into it. Alright, so first off, let's look at what Sora has to offer. The main developer is actually Singhai and it is along Yuan Ching Road. So pretty much most of the units there actually is facing the waterfront view at Chinese Garden, whereby you have a very amazing view. The park is right at your doorstep. So if you're a nature lover, fitness lover, or even a foreign, definitely this project might sound appealing to you. And of course, from what we do know, this is a 99-year leasehold. There's a total of 4 blocks and it has a lot of facilities. So on the roof itself, it has many sky decking facilities, places you can chill. It has 2 pools, a tennis court. It's pretty much a full facilities project. And of course, the main selling point is really the view and the greenery right in front of you. So, when you're looking to sell in future, definitely this will be the type of buyer pool that is going to be interested in your project, given that it's one of the newer projects in the area. There's not that many, the newest being Lake Garden Residences and Sora being the latest. And of course, later on I will touch on a bit more about Lucerne, which is right at Lakeside MRT station. It is a mixed commercial development, but we will talk about why that might not be the best project to go for versus this. And end of the day, it really depends on what you are exactly looking for. Of course, if you value MRT and convenience, definitely go for Lucerne. However, if you are looking for something with a bit more, capital protection upside and whatnot, we will take a look at the numbers and you can make the final decision for yourself whether this project is suitable for you. Alright, so let's look at what is left in Sora. So there are a total of 440 units ranging from 1 bedder to 5 bedders, and as of today, when I'm making this video, about 51% of units have been sold. So 1 bedders are fully sold out. There's still a handful of 2 bedders left, and definitely what I do know is that there are still plenty of 3, 4 and 5 bedders still available. And well, I will say that the main reason for this is really due to the quantum. So of course, partially it was that 2 years ago when Sora just launched, the asking PSF was still not widely accepted by the market back then just yet, especially for somewhere in the far west like Jurong. And of course, as of today, when we look at the market, we do notice that there are some OCR projects, notably Tampines, which are performing very well and have crossed the 2,800 plus PSF mark. So one reason is that Tampines actually has strong HDB upgrader pool. We do know that HDB is one of the largest HDB estates and there are so many BTOs in the area. And of course, over the next few years, there are just going to be more MOP hitting the market. Once these sellers sell and they will be looking to upgrade, and that is what we see in the market today when you see projects like Revel and Orel, which are ECs, being fully sold out during the second round of booking when second timers are available to book. And of course, we do see strong sales result at places like Binary and Pakdao Residences, which are both private condo developments. So of course, when you look at this, wouldn't you say that if Sora was selling around 2003-2004, there might be a bit of an opportunity in terms of the price gap, considering both are in the extreme east and extreme west? Of course, you might want to say that the HDB upgraded demand in Jurong isn't as strong, but is that really the case? Let's take a look in the later part of the video. Alright, let's get the elephant out of the room first. So why did Sora not perform as well as other projects during the last 2 years? So definitely the number one key reason that most buyers have in terms of objection for this project is actually the distance to the MRT. So if you really want to walk, it's probably going to be more than a 15 minutes walk. It's definitely not really walkable, especially in Singapore's climate. It is so hot, so humid. No typical Singaporean is going to think about walking to the MRT that is more than 15 minutes. So of course, it is a few bus stops away, and that has put off quite a few people. So just think about it, when we compare to other, website projects, probably the better selling one in recent times was Jaded, which is directly, just right above Jurong East MRT. That is one project that a lot of people were stepping up because of the distance and proximity to the MRT. And of course, in terms of the market context, it was a very crowded new launch calendar. 2024 to 2025, there were so many projects that were so interesting, and of course, it might have taken some of the shine away from Sora. And then last but not least, we do know that the PSF was a bit higher for Sora back then when it just launched, and of course, we do note it in terms of the sales. 1 billion was fully sold out, and then we do see the bigger unit types, 2 beta plus study, 3 beta, 4 beta, 5 beta. These are all larger size, which results in a larger quantum, and it resulted in these units not being able to move as fast. So of course, if MRT proximity is a non-negotiable for you, definitely skip this video. Sora is not going to be for you. But if that's the case, you should probably wait for Lucerne Grand, which will be previewing and launching later this year. But if you are accepting of the fact that MRT proximity isn't everything, and this is something that my Thrive framework actually evaluates, why I believe Sora might actually be a good buy into this market is the fact that entry PSF is one of the key factors, and it will be shown in my Thrive framework analysis in the later part of this video, whereby we score Sora against a whole host of factors, and of course you will be the judge of whether it actually makes sense or whether I'm just talking rubbish and trying to promote Sora for whatever reasons. So you might think that the slow sales for Sora is a result or outcome of poor pricing strategy from the developer, but is that really the case? Let's take a look at Sora versus Lake Garden Residences, which is just right beside Sora. And of course, we're going to compare it with Jaded, the latest new launch in the West, which is actually further away slightly in Jurong East area, but it has direct access to Jurong East MRT. Right, so if you take a look at this chart, you can see the main difference. Just for clarity, in case you can't see clearly, the blue line is actually Sora, the red line is Lake Garden Residences, and yellow line is Jaded. So obviously you can already see right off the bat that Jaded is slightly more expensive. So before you go then, let's take a look at Sora versus Lake Garden. So of course, we do know that Sora is experiencing slower sales versus Lake Garden. I would say it's really just due to two key reasons. One, Lake Garden has a slightly lower PSF given that it launched at an earlier stage. And the second thing was of course that Lake Garden were DOP earlier than Sora, which would definitely drive the sales over the last year, as I have seen by myself. I'm tracking the project data and all that. I do know for a fact that Lake Garden Residences actually managed to close off quite a few units just this year alone. And of course, when you compare to Jaded, there is an MRT premium tag to it. Just looking at the average PSF, it has a difference of $250 per square foot. So this is actually a MRT proximity premium. And if you ask me, I do not know whether it is fully justified to pay a premium. And of course, this is one of the key reasons why I think that Sora presents an interesting opportunity as compared to waiting for Lucerne Grand. Of course, Jaded is really, a little bit more central if you compare it along the east-west line. So let's leave that out of the equation for now. But definitely based on what I do know of Lucerne Grand, the land bid cost is going to suggest that it's going to start from likely an average of 2004-2005 PSF onwards. So when we look at the difference between the PSF for what Lucerne Grand might potentially go for versus what we know Sora is offering you today, and trust me, the price would increase shortly after Lucerne Grand is launched. That is provided Lucerne Grand does well, of course, but this is typically the standard developer behavior. We do know for a fact that there are so many upcoming developments. Just look at this news article whereby we are talking about the Jurong Lake District. Government has committed to make it in the second CBD. So definitely there will be more developments around the area, and definitely in time to come, more residential housing will come into play because you will have to support the infrastructure where so many people are working over here. Definitely it doesn't make sense to keep it as it is right now. And of course, later on I'll be talking more about what the master plan can already show us and what might potentially be in the works. And of course, I have used the power of AI in today's market to help me build this interesting tool which allows me to analyze and help you to better understand what your purchasing readiness is. And have a look at this video to understand, we are going to look at how to assess your loan assessment, how much you can potentially afford, and whether it is a comfortable or overstretching budget. And of course, based on whatever outcome we derive at, this is some of the potential, unit sizes that you might be looking at. And of course, feel free to reach out. We are interested to get a consult and get a better understanding of where your purchasing power lies right now. Alright, so let's first take a look at this price chart. So obviously we do know that in Jurong itself, over the last 10 years, there's been close to between 37 to 40% kind of increase. It really depends on whether you are holding a 4 or 5 room HDB. And of course, when we talk about, what can we potentially afford, I mean, let's have a serious thing about it. So let's say if you are staying in a 5 room HDB right now, the average price is probably going to be estimated around 700,000. And since you're living in a 5 room, I'm going to assume that you might be looking at, buying a 3-bedder, at least 3-bedder compact to enter, to upsize into, and something you're more comfortable with in living, rather than, just buying for the sake of buying for investment purposes and whatnot. So I mean, if you zoom in into the illustrative upgrade scenario over here, you can see that, let's assume these are really just figures that I worked with a recent client just to calculate. When we take off their CPF refund and accrued interest and less of the outstanding loan, their net cash proceeds is about 340,000. And we do know that the Sora 3-bedder, entry price is around 2.4 million. And once we add in buyer's stamp duty and other miscellaneous fees, and then we less off their cash proceeds and their reusable CPF, there's a minimum top up of 1.85 million to go. Now of course, this is not forgetting the fact that they also have saved up something in their CPF OA over the years. And definitely, for my clients at least, they were able to get the balance service buyer loan because they had a healthy income to be able to support a certain degree of loan. So of course, like I mentioned earlier, if you are unsure about your actual numbers, feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to run a detailed analysis with you. And of course, when we are looking at the Jurong Lake District development, what are we really betting on? So let's look at this simple summary. So we do know that government has committed to making this the second CBD. We do know that there will be 3 MRT lines by 2032. So there's already the East-West line running. Jurong Region Line is in the midst of building over the next few years. We're going to see it fully operational. And by 2032, we'll see the cross-regional line that will also come up. So this means that staying in the way, all the way in Jurong, you actually have direct access via your MRT line to CBD, NTU, Changi, all under 30 minutes. Now of course, we do know that even Science Centre is moving over, and it will be ready in 2027, which is actually before your key collections for Sora in 2028. And of course, later on, let's take a look at the next part. This is the master plan. It's the map that probably nobody ever showed you before. So you see the 2 highlighted blue plots of land. This is actually the one nearer to the top is actually Taman Jurong Food Centre. The one at the bottom is Jurong Super Bowl. So if you are living in the west, I'm pretty sure you have heard of these 2 places before. But what we do know is that these 2 are going to be rezoned and redeveloped. So this means that there's going to be new residential plots. There's going to be, more revamped shop houses, amenities, etc. It's all going to be around the area. So what do you think this means for your property prices if you buy in the Sora? Not forgetting, slightly further off in the Jurong East region, there's actually a very large plot of white site if you refer to this map. You do realize that, a lot of these are still subject to detailed planning. But what we do know is that this means that there's going to be a massive, huge redevelopment upcoming in this area itself. And if you ask me, what this means is that government is going to start to focus in this west side of Singapore over the next few years. And with all these, enhanced residential amenities and whatnot, this is, at the very least, even if nothing goes right for you, this is still price protection. You're not going to be expecting to be losing money entering at 2003 PSF, 2004 PSF, when the rest of the market has already moved towards 3000 PSF and higher. So of course, when we look at another project in the Jurong East area that was launched before Jayden, we are looking at J Gateway. So at launch PSF in 2013, the average PSF was around 1004 to 1550 PSF. And by the time it is today, 2026, the resale PSF is averaging between 1008 to 2001. So of course, this is up to 4.5% annualized return. We do see the highest profit being around 700,000 over. And so in fact, sorry, I cried myself, it has already hit 825,000 for the highest profitability in this area. So just take a look at this, all the transactions in J Gateway. We do know that majority of them are actually profits over the last 10 years. There are only 2 losses, and it's really very minor losses. And of course, these belong to the one bidders, which are the smaller unit types. This is another topic for another day. But definitely, if you are looking at the remaining balance units in Sora, they are the larger size units, and that actually guarantees a bit of safety in itself. And of course, one of the main concerns that some other people might have at this point in time is, the threat of Lucerne grant, right? So of course, this is also an 9-year leasehold. This is going to be built by CDL. But the key upside for this project is that it's directly connected to Lakeside MRT. So of course, if you are still, after hearing so much, you're still believing that MRT proximity is everything and you're willing to pay a premium for it, definitely you can go ahead. But what I would like to highlight and really just tell you is that this project would definitely launch at a much higher price point than what Sora is currently offering. And given the runway to when you're collecting keys for Sora versus Lucerne Grant, you're going to be expecting a little bit of a difference in terms of where you can actually, potentially collect keys. If you are an investor, when you can start renting out. If you are own stay, when you can start living in your own place. And in terms of capital appreciation, I mean, definitely, we do not know, but historically, there has been quite a few cases whereby entering at a lower PSF actually allows you more profit. So I mean, if you have the time, feel free to go and check out the profitability for Riverfront Residences and Sengkang Grand. One is directly connected to MRT, is a mixed commercial development and whatnot, versus Riverfront Residences, not the nearest to MRT, not really accessible, not too many amenities in the area. Just take a look at the difference in the profitability, and the main key differentiating factor is actually the entry PSF. And so of course, like I was sharing earlier about my Thrive framework, take a look at this. So we do know that overall this is actually a strong fundamental project. It has an A-star grading and a total score of 4.17 out of 5. I mean, the main reason why it didn't keep closer to 5 is really the environment. The MRT distance is the main crack, and of course the amenities there are not the most developed right now. So what you might do in Sora is really targeting on the fact that there are upcoming development, there are upcoming amenities revamp, and of course, if you can take into consideration, or if you have a longer runway to go, definitely when the 3 MRT lines are all up and running, this is when you are potentially going to reap the fruits of your labor, and you will thank yourself for actually believing in what this area has to offer in terms of this transformation and upside. So of course, just to share with you guys as well, if you are looking at rental, this is kind of the average that you can get. This is actually based on Lake Life, which is the nearest condo to Sora. But just take note that Lake Life doesn't really have the full lakeside view compared to Sora and Lake Garden Residences. So potentially, somebody who really values the view, the nature, the fitness, they might be willing to pay a slightly higher premium than what you're seeing for Lake Life. And of course, based on what we do know, the next 6 years are kind of already set in motion. In this coming year, we do know that Lucerne Brand is going to launch the Jurong Region Line. The phase 1 is going to open. It's going to connect Jurong West to Chenteng, and that's going to enhance some connectivity. But of course, we do know that later on in 2028, Jurong Region Line will be fully up and running, and in 2032, Cross Region Line would also be more open, more operational. And just take note, of course, in 2027, we are expecting the new science center to open. Like I mentioned earlier, 2028, you're going to collect your keys. The Jurong East Integrated Hub, the white site that I mentioned earlier, is expected to open around 2028. And of course, in 2030 plus onwards, we do expect more of the white sites to redevelop, and then Lucerne Grand would POP. And once there's some sale movement after the POP and all that, you might also be seeing some improvement in your resale prices at Sora. So of course, this is really just a high-level general overview, and if you are interested to find out more about, what the west side has to offer, or whether it really makes sense for you whether to go for Sora, or to wait for Lucerne Grand, or to wait for any other next project that might be coming out in the Jurong East region, feel free to leave a comment. I'll be reaching out to you just to share a bit more about an in-depth analysis, a bit more about my Thrive framework as well, how it was actually calculated, because earlier on I only showed you how the final score was at. It did not show you what or how did I derive this score. Right? So if you're interested, feel free to leave a comment, like and subscribe for more. I'll be hoping to cover Lucerne Grand in some of the next upcoming videos, as well as some other project analysis that you might want to consider if you still feel that Jurong is too far. So yeah, stay tuned and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.